Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Not Your Normal Sunday Show. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Of course, this is my good friend, R. Wayne Steiger. Wayne, we've had our challenges for a week or so, but here we are back again, ready to rock and roll.
Well, tenacity always pays off.
Tenacity always pays off in the end. There's really no substitute for tenacity, is there?
There really isn't. You just have to be, it is what it is in this life. If you're not flexible, I love what the late John Candy said. I'm like the mighty river that flows. I bend as I go.
Yeah. But Wayne, sometimes, and maybe you can help me out here a little bit this morning, maybe we can do a little live counseling. Sometimes I find that I can be a little bit too tenacious, especially when things happen that affect people that I love. I want to get in there and I want to protect. I want to jump in somebody's face. I want to get in there and fix everything and make everything right. And I want to get in there and just really be very, very proactive. But sometimes I think you have to not be that way, and you just have to let people do their own things sometimes, and you have to let people discover their own ways sometimes. But it can be difficult when you are really trying to be in a position where you protect, and your first instinct is to, the best way to prevent an attack on the things you love most precious is to meet that attacking force way outside the camp. So I'm dealing with that a little bit this morning.
Well, I think sometimes you have to realize whose bone it is you're trying to gnaw on.
What do you mean?
Well, see, when I use the word tenacious, that was spoken to me decades ago. When I first started in business, I remember a gentleman who really became a mentor to me. He was vice president of CBS on all advertising. And anyway, I remember Bill, we were out having drinks one evening, and he says, Steiger, he says, you have a hell of a future ahead of you. But he said, you've got to learn not to be so tenacious. And I really didn't even know the meaning of the word. And he said, it's all right to have a goal, but he says, it's never necessary to always have the goal.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was a pretty wise dude.
That's a really good point. So, sometimes you got to know, well, what did Kenny Rogers say? Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Isn't that the truth, though? And I love that song. I miss that dude, man.
You do. And it's, sometimes you just can be, you're always tenacious, but sometimes you're like a duck on the water. On top, it looks like you're smooth, but underneath you're still going like hell.
Yeah, your legs are like this because the damn alligator that's coming up behind you. But no. And I think that that's the balance between personalities that are much more inclined to be of a leadership role. I tell people all the time, I have a warrior spirit. Deep down in, yeah. And, as much as I like to keep the balance, everyone's trying to seek that. Sometimes it is what it is.
And happy Father's Day to you, Wayne, by the way.
Well, happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
And thank you. And how do we make the decision where you have a constant irritant in your life, something that's coming at you, not of your own volition, not of your own doing, it's coming at you. And it does need to be met. It needs to be challenged. And yet we know that what you resist continues to persist. So how do you strike that balance of standing your ground, doing what's right for yourself and doing what's right energetically? And how do you decide how much space to let this battle rent in your life?
I always take the perspective of the mosquito. So the mosquito bites you in the very middle of your back and you can't get to it, but it itches and you want to scratch it. You definitely have to scratch it. And the answer really becomes you can find a angle of a wall or a door and scratch your back that way, which we've done for millions of years. You can have a person that's in your life scratch it for you. And what I'm trying to say is that we all have that need that has to be addressed. Sometimes it's better done when someone else is doing it.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just got to let go. And, we used to say let go and let God, but sometimes you got to let go and kind of let the universe take care of things on its own. Let the universe scratch your back. And if you know you're scratching the universe's back, if you're in tune and in balance, you know, sooner or later it should work out. But sometimes, Wayne, it does get frustrating when you're doing the right thing and you're acting the right way and you've done the right work, and yet still things that aren't of your doing, things that you don't deserve, come at you. And you almost want to say, universe, are you paying attention? What's going on? This isn't fair. And how long are these? It's the age-old question. Why do the wicked prosper? Why do the heathen imagine a vain thing? And why do they go about accumulating riches? It looks like everything's good for them, and they're pounding on us, and all we can do is take it.
Boy, you've really hit on a subject that I think that in so many ways so you do a lot of work at the gym, right?
I do, especially for the last 3 months. I'm back there working my butt off, literally, by the way.
Okay. So you have this goal, certain weight, certain physique, and the only way that you're going to be able to get to it is by irritating the muscles on your body.
Oh, hello, Warrior Princess.
Hello, Warrior Princess. How you doing? Think about it.
You actually do have to break the muscles down first in order for them to build back up. So Wayne, are you telling me sometimes that these things that come into our life that we don't deserve, that are coming to us, you know, not because we're making stupid choices, that sometimes they're just the weights that are breaking down our muscles so we can build them back up more strongly?
I think so. I look at my life on that, and my life has been filled with so many challenges. And I've actually quoted the very scripture that you used in there in the book of Proverbs. And, you know, and then I began to see those within the circle that I was within prospering off of us. And I'm going, in fact, it's odd that we say this. We didn't even know this was going. I actually had wrote on one of my postum notes, why money? Is this the best God has got? You think about an existence that we're born into in this temporal reality. It is predicated upon money. Don't give me any of your religious ideologies, theologies, philosophies. I don't care about to hear it, because the reality is, Jack, you're about getting money, because if you ain't got no money, you ain't got no place to be able to be talking.
And Wayne, sometimes the people with the most money are the most unawakened. They're they're just, let's just say it. Sometimes the people with the most money are the most wicked.
Well, I think that they allowed something to rent the penthouse. You know, I wrote here, I said, preaching thieves. And this is what we live in.
Wayne.
I know it. It is preaching thieves. And I went, you know, and then you can do the extension on that you want. Preaching thieves of humanity, preaching thieves of religion. I mean, whatever you want to add to it. Well, there you go.
Daniel Richardson, I salute you. And
it's just money. I love that.
It is just money, but it's so frustrating sometimes that, you know, because you and I both walked away from a lot of money to pursue our spiritual pathways. And then you get people with a lot of money tearing you down, and you just want to say, and it's ego. It's at the end of the day, it's ego. It's at the end of the day, it's ego. I don't think it's fair to me. I don't think it's right to me. So you're probably right, Wayne. Even when I'm not in the gym, I'm in the gym.
Yeah. There's a lesson here. You know, I don't talk about my business life, but I've learned some things. And you know what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. In fact, the futility of what we're in. And again, I wrote this morning meditating. Why money?
Why money?
Of all the universes, of all the worlds that possibly exist, I wonder, is money ruling them as they've ruled us. And you can go back all the way back into your theology, into your science, and it's always been about one and primary thing: survival. Survival depends upon you having enough resources that allow you to pursue your philosophy.
Yeah. And you know, Wayne, I think the key is, and it's so often this way, people quote things and believe things, they don't get them quite right. And the devil, as they say, is in the details. You know, you always hear,
Always is.
Money's the root of all evil. Money's the root of all evil. Well, no, not really. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And if you look at the people that have money that are, I mean, I know we don't talk about good and evil, but there's some people that you can look at them that have a lot of money and objectively they're just evil. The things they do are evil. The way they treat people is evil. The way they do things is evil. And like you say, they, you know, a lot of them thieve and steal to get what they have. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But if you look at them to a man or to a woman, when you talk about their money, it's not just, oh yeah, I have a lot of money. They love that money. That money is their identity. That money is their soul, those houses, those cars, those toys, you know, like Creflo, I want you Dala and the Jets.
Well, let's do Jesse.
It's this money is me. This money is who I am. This money is what I am. And then it's very rare. And I'm trying to think, I've known maybe one, maybe two people that are, you know, millionaires plus that didn't love money. What's your experience?
Two types of people. I think I go back and I remember Horus, the Egyptian god, and how in the Egyptian culture back then, the very wealthy were always accumulating wealth to be bartered for in the afterlife as they made the journey across the river. And I think it's the same way today. We know you can't take it with you. It's that joke that I tell people about the two guys standing on a corner and there's a funeral procession going by. And the one guy says, well, isn't that old man Jones? And the other guy said, yeah, it is. And the other dude said, the richest man in town. He says, I wonder how much he left behind. The other guy said, everything.
All of it.
All of it.
And there's no luggage racks on hearses, Wayne.
No, there's not. And
Topper makes a good point. He says, I don't believe all wealthy people are evil. I don't either.
No,
but I've met a lot of them. And I'm telling you, about 90% plus of them are.
It changes because it's like this. I'm doing, it's so odd how we get into these things. I am started working on it last night, a comparison from 1818, 1918, and 2018.
That's interesting.
And what I am finding out is remarkable. And the most ardent thing that I am finding that back in 1818, guess what? Every human being, for the most part, had time for inner perspectiveness.
Right.
Why? They didn't have the white noise.
Yeah.
By the time we got into 1918, we were in the middle of the First World War, just started. We were in the middle of the first industrial revolution that had begun to really peak in.
Right.
And then in that point, we became preoccupied because what was introduced to the world? Radio.
Yeah.
So by the time we made it into 2018, today, the average person has no time for inner perspectiveness, none.
Yeah.
Even if you get out in the middle of the woods, everyone still carries this damnable device right here.
Yeah.
And these are, in fact, I wrote this. I said, let me get this. Always amazing me. Relying on a machine, this will be the next generation's deity, deified, the God of the future. And I'll tell you why. Our species of those under 30 have no memory. They have no cognitive memory, folks. Today, it impacts my generation. I used to be able to remember at least 30 different phone numbers right off the top of my head.
I don't remember Sandra's phone number.
I can only remember 2 or 3 now. Why? Because I rely on that goddamn machine.
Wayne, I don't even know if I can remember my phone number. I think I do.
You see? And it's been so subtle how it has creeped in. And again, someone said, and I'm going to repeat, on other planets where sentient life exists, is money the dominance? Is it the machine that is truly the God? Are we falling back into what initially collapsed our culture, our species to begin with?
Yeah. And really, we ought to stop whining about who has the money and who doesn't, because you can whine in one hand and you can work in the other, and you can guess which one's going to fill up first.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll just lay it out here. Most people have not a clue how to get money, how to make wealth. And that's what I did.
How much should we concentrate on that as spiritual people? Let's face it, Wayne, if I had $1 million right now, I could change this entire planet. I don't have $1 million. How much should we that are in this spiritual business, that are doing what we do, trying to spread a message that we think can change the world, should we apply ourselves to trying to find some ways of revenue and capital generation so we can apply that towards this most important of works?
Well, as Pink Floyd said, welcome to the machine. Here's the point. I used to, that's what I did. I went before venture capitalists. I went before investment groups. I made presentations. We would submit and compete with thousands of other companies. We almost always got chosen, always. And I'd go out there on the stage. And you know what this allowed me to do? It makes you one tough son of a bitch, because when I see the craziness of people writing in their comments, they don't understand. It has absolutely zero effect on me. When you stand before a group, a panel, these are all millionaires, some on their way to be billionaires, and they're critiquing your presentation, your business plan. They're critiquing your critical thinking. They're critiquing how well can you cope and adapt. Those things, most people, I dare say, Jeff, never expose themselves to. And you know what it does? It, number one, teaches you to generate wealth. There is a process of how that is done. Many people go about this half willy-nilly and never fully understand. And once you learn how the process is done, I could virtually tell you this. If a person has a good idea, I could tell them how they can get themselves ready, how to go to get angel investors, how to begin to nourish the idea, how to begin to beta test it. Well, first you should do the alpha, then you go into a beta. I can show you how the process of how you get funding each stage of the way. Why? Why do people invest millions of dollars into individuals' ideas? It's because it's not about acquiring money. My whole process was, I was all about building a wealth generation machine. And people don't.
I apologize for looking away for a minute. I was just sending a much needed apology. So
no, that's all right. And I'm just trying to tell people here, there is a process, Jeff, of how any person who can write a business plan, number one, vet their idea out and show how this idea can begin to generate wealth, it can get funded.
Can it get funded in the spiritual realms too?
It's all spiritual anyway. Everything I learned in business, I already learned in my Christian circles.
Really?
Well, all the attributes. I mean, you look at most Christian circles, it's a vicious group.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's be honest. It's a vicious group. And so when I began to see the comparison, I said, well, the two aren't that different.
They're not different at all, are they?
No, I don't think they are. And it's just how the system works.
Wayne,
yes. Go ahead.
Would you be willing to put together some type of a seminar and a price point for it, for people to be able to come and learn how to present their spiritual ideas to you to try to get them funded?
That's something I'll think on. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that we've used the term for decades in the finance business of angel investors. And I've had a few. Those angel investors, they're the ones that are going to stick by you in the challenging times. And challenging times are just part of the process.
Yeah. And Wayne, I have a sense that, and I'm just thinking of, me personally, because that's, what I know about. I have this sense that there are people out there that do want to help works like ours and that are going to, but I think we can do better to help people help us, because, even God helps them that helps themselves. And, people that you're talking about, there's a lot of people out there. And, we've talked about maybe it's only 10% or maybe it's only 20% of people that are wealthy that also have a heart for helping other people. And I guarantee you, everyone that's wealthy has a heart for reducing their tax burden. So if we can make ourselves look credible, reliable, have a business plan, and have something that is workable, I think there is money out there. And, some of these Bible verses are true. The wealth of the wicked is stored up for the just. There's a lot of people out there that maybe they're not wicked, as the Bible says. It doesn't even have to be spiritually minded people. Some people are out there that would be willing to give, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, maybe millions to a thing that they think has a future, be they spiritual or not. So I think I think that could be a real work of service for someone like you, Wayne, to put together something like that.
Sure. I mean, it's a process. It really is. In your area, there's a couple of individuals I know that put on dinners. We would eat at a number of the different steakhouses around Southern Florida. And what I found, even with Mark Zuckerberg, people think that this guy is completely soulless. He may be. I don't know. But I do know of the other people that I have met in that circle. I do know the founder of Twitter and of Square. And the thing that's so interesting is that I find many of them do have this spiritual side to them. It's not something that is spoken outwardly, but it's discussed it's discussed at every cocktail party I've ever attended.
So even the Zuckerbergs, the Elon Musk, the people like that, because Wayne, there's a difference between the old money. They always joke silver spoon in their mouth, but no brass in their boxers. There's those guys and gals that have, they inherited their money and they've really never created anything themselves. Then there's the Zuckerbergs. Then there's the Musk. Then there's the Bezos. There's the people that love them, hate them, Illuminati, whatever. Those jokers know how to get stuff done. And they started, you go back to Jobs and you go back to Gates, whatever you think about these people, they started in a garage.
They did.
Started with nothing but an idea. Love them, hate them. I respect the hell out of them because they went to work and produced something on their own with blood, sweat, and tear equity. And cousin, they made it happen. Whether you love them, whether you hate them, whether they serve God or whether they serve reptilian shapeshifters. Hello, Rex Bear. You got to respect that. And people like that, if they get communicated a good idea like you have and I have and Sandra has and Heidi has and Rex has and the list goes on and on and on.
Well, here's an idea. I remember I met Jack Dorsey in 2006 at South by Southwest. Mm-hmm. He was there with his partner and they were in a booth and they were telling us, now, we didn't have smartphones in 2006. We were just converging over to the digital network. Right. But he had this idea of how we could, and I remember walking away from him. I was with a group of attorneys and I said, who the hell would want to use your phone to text only with 96 characters? I said, literally, I said, that'll never go. Well, don't listen to me all the time because I will be wrong. And the thing about Jack Dorsey, it is a good lesson for all of us to learn. Jack took the value of Twitter and realized something. He knew something that I saw as well decades ago in payment. And most people don't know the story of how Square started.
I have no idea how Square started.
Jack got the idea of being able to use the mobile phone to begin to address what was called the lower market tier. These were the contractors, a high risk value in all of the matrix. And he said, you know what? That's a market that needs this. And listen, the challenges were immense. Completely uneducated, ahead of the technology, no regulations, no requirements as to what would be secure. In fact, there was no assurance that there would be consumer adaptability. Anyway, true story. He did not even have to write a business plan or executive summary because Twitter was beginning to catch on. Jack raised $40 million within 10 days to start Square. Folks, get this. Within the first year, they had raised over $250 million. That's $250 million.
There is no shortage of money in this world.
Oh, God, no. I mean, listen, Peter Thiel is a guy that, and by the way, they have gatekeepers. You're not going to get in there. And what people don't understand, in order to get there, you have to immerse yourself into their world. You can't expect them to come into your world. They're going to look at your idea, and they are gamblers. They are visionaries. They are what I would call the seers.
So, Wayne, how do we get into that world without sullying ourselves?
Oh, it's very easy. I mean, the thing, and we can do this. You first have to learn that I tell people this all the time, and I do. Every one of us have $1 million idea every day. Every day we have $1 million idea. We just have no way of being able to inseminate that idea to begin to take root into this physical realm. And the thing I've learned about people always want to believe the best in the future. Every investment that's ever made is made because that investor feels that this is going to pay off. Now, when you're dealing with the venture capitals on Sand Hill Road, they have a little different philosophy. Their philosophy is that there are thousands of fish in the net. It's the ones that have the ability to eat the others. In essence, your business plan is better than yours, your strategy implementation for marketing, et cetera, et cetera. They'll invest in that. They'll invest in you. And that's the thing. And I always tell people, what's better? Is it better to have 10% of your original idea, knowing that 90% has funded your dreams, your ability to now live each morning to get your cup of coffee, not worrying how and who's going to pay the electric bill?
Yeah.
And it all starts this. Now, it starts also that you have to have money. Every place that goes, there is a fee that will have to be met. And people say, well, but I don't have that kind of money. And the fees are not much. They're sometimes a couple $100s. And I go, well, gee, isn't it amazing that you want to go to angel investors because the idea is to have the biggest possible group of investors when you present, because the odds are most are going to walk away, but you only need one. So you can't go amongst your friends and say, listen, I've got this idea. I need to get $200 to pay for a fee. I will do, it's like this video I did this week. If a person could pass the 1895 eighth grade education graduation test, and in one of the tests on money, it says, write a check, write a promissory note, and write a receipt. How many people could do those three things today? I'll guarantee you.
Our age could do it easy.
Yeah, I could do a promissory note like that. Most people don't know under 30 what a promissory note is.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Wayne, we could, I mean, I think this is a very workable idea. But let me ask you something, if I may. Talk to me about this whole idea of what you resist tends to persist. Is that just New Age Buddhist monk chanting on a pillow somewhere, gobbledygook, or is it reality?
Well, I think that I had a person on Friday that I just love her, Tony Perfanovich, and her approach is that we are the I am.
Right, and I believe that.
I do too. But she brought me into a perspective that I had never seen this before. That which resists us the most is the question becomes, why is there resistance there to begin with? Is it something that I am projecting within that is causing my subconscious manifestation? Because what people don't realize, the subconscious never stops.
Right.
It's always going. And I have found it sometimes to be our own worst enemy. I can have a great idea, but something in my freaking subconscious will become and boomerang me more times than not.
That's why I do the LIFETRACK analysis and repair work, because that's exactly what you have to stop. You have to get your reactive mind under control so your analytical mind can give you the information that you need and you can receive it.
Now, you see, you said something that was key to me right there. There's two words that I think most people intertwine is want and need.
Right.
You know, we need the substances to maintain life, roof, food, etc. What I want is to become wealthy. Now, that's what most people think, but let me just give you a different point of view, and I'll assure you, you change your point of view on these things, and things will begin to change. Instead of saying you want to be wealthy, change it to you want to make other people wealthy.
Wasn't it Zig Ziglar that said, I think it was Zig Ziglar, the best way to be successful is to make the most amount of other people successful?
It's a fact.
Yet we go back to these people sitting on big stacks of money that they inherited that don't ever help anybody else, and in fact use and abuse people.
I know, and there are those, but I'll share a story, true story. I had a business that I was looking to fund, and it was really difficult. It was a good idea. Had been successful raising about $500,000. But really needed this injection of cash to be able to take it to the next level. I got invited to a person's house, and it was the most unassuming house I had ever been in, typical upper middle class, I'll put it that way. Went in and met a gentleman that had to be in his late 80s, and he was a billionaire. And he did put some money in, but he was the wisest guy I've ever met. And
interesting.
And the thing that he told me, and he looked me straight in the eye, he said, son, he said, go for this up here, not for this here. He says,
interesting that he would say that as a billionaire.
Yeah. It's up here. Howard Hughes was the same thing. And then something breaks. And this is why I like a lot of what you teach, is the fact that these men who figured it out, Zig Ziglar will tell you that if you want to get wealthy, use the Bible. The Bible has the great money code in it. It's one of the most interesting things I found in the book of Proverbs.
There are some. That's true.
Yeah. No, the book of Proverbs was written for a person to get wealthy on.
Yeah, and you helped me with this. I don't even really say the Bible anymore, because really, if you think about the Old Testament, you're talking about ancient Hebrew scriptures that were heavily borrowed from the Sumerians. So it's really not the Bible. And the New Testament is, early first century Greek and Aramaic manuscripts that were also heavily borrowed. But I've only talked to one billionaire in my life. I used to sell him a lot of timeshare when I worked for Marriott, and I asked him one day. I said, I won't say his name, there's probably not that many billionaires. I asked him, give me your best piece of advice. And he said, now, Jeff, this is going to sound a little flippant. It's going to sound a little crude. But if you listen to the intent behind it, you'll get it. He says, if it flies, floats, or fornicates, it's cheaper to rent. So the idea is you've got to learn to spend your money and make your investments on the right things. And so many people, when they get a little money, what's the first thing they do? They buy a car, they buy a house, they buy an airplane. They start spending it on, if they're a girl, they start spending it on boys. If they're a boy, they start spending it on girls. And we've got to get to the place where we understand the things that retain value and really invest our time and our efforts into those things.
Yeah, I mean, look what I did when I started, and I was the first mobile giving application, designed it in 2010. That I referred back to a conference I was in San Francisco, and Bill Gates was there. Bill Gates gave the keynote express. Never forget this. Never forget this. He said, I'll tell you how each and every one of you in the audience today can be rich, wealthy beyond your imagination. And he said this, if you want a sure success, it has to be, number one, socially impacting. He says, if your product can be socially impacting and transversed all the demographics, all the matrices across the board, it will be a success on its very own.
So Wayne, let me ask you, and there's people in this audience, I guarantee you, that are in this situation right now. You're in a situation and you've got a challenge in your life, and that challenge is coming from, one person, let's say it's coming from one person. There's a big challenge in your life that's coming from one person. And you've already checked, and it's not anything you're doing. You're not just reaping what you've sown, but there's one person there. I'm wondering what Sun Tzu would say, and I'm wondering what Wayne Tzu would say. If there's one person that is causing you a lot of grief and distress in your life, and you could go to that person, but even if in your mind you think they're rotten, they're dirty, their history demonstrates that they've done all kinds of things, and they don't really, in your estimation, you don't know the person, but in your estimation, they don't have a lot of integrity. They're a user, but yet they're the main thing that's causing you problems. Do you go to that person and say, hey, can we sit down and work this out? Do you take a way of not resisting to try to get it to not persist? Or do you just not go there because you know what you're dealing with?
Yeah, complex. If talking to them face to face does not resolve it, and there's just I've known.
Would you even try to talk to them face to face?
I think that's on the individual. The effort, many times it's already predetermined, particularly if there's a situation that's so, ingrained in here.
Right.
There's another approach though. And, I'll use the term magic.
Right.
There's sometimes just no way of breaking through a sentient defenses.
Right.
And there's just going to be some souls that we meet along the way that we don't like.
Right. And
just the way
like
it is. Yeah, they don't like us. But what we can do is begin to invoke favor. And I have found that to be sometimes the best magic of all. And it is magic.
And how do you mean just say I invoke favor on myself?
Well, I'll tell you how I do this. You could literally draw a circle and put something that represents the person, even the person's picture. Light white candles in the 4 cardinal directions.
Any black ones, Wayne?
I don't use it. I use white or red.
Okay.
Because red is passion for me, and white is purification, cleansing. And I just invoke and speak favor.
Onto yourself or onto the person?
On us both. I stand within the circle, and
even though they're your enemy, quote unquote, you're calling favor on them.
Yeah, yeah. Keep your friends closer, keep your enemies even closer. Many times in business dealings, I've walked into dinners and had to break bread and shake hands with the person on the other side of that table that I knew was not there for my well-being.
Interesting.
But the thing that I have said, and I've learned this as I've gotten older, I'll be 63 on Tuesday. And
happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. The thing that I've learned is that I speak favor. What I say to them is that I say, and I'll just use a imaginary name, Tim. Tim, when you think of me, every time you see me, favor will begin to arise from the inside. And I speak the same to me. Wayne, every time you think of Tim, you're going to give him favor. The only way that I see that you break this karma cycle is that you begin to take a different approach and you speak love, favor that is in them. I think most
Wait,
people.
I don't like that.
I know it.
Like that.
I know it goes against everything.
It's a person it's a person that's making people's lives miserable.
Yeah. Isn't that odd? But that's the only way.
Think about it, Wayne. Think about it. If you've got this adversary,
you have a Satan, Satan, not capital S.
Yeah, you have a Satan.
Yeah.
And they're focused on you for whatever reason and making your life miserable or making the life of someone you love miserable. Isn't it just like ourselves, warriors like you and I, to say, I'm going to knock this woman out? And I would never hit a woman. It's, an analogy. I'm going to knock this person out. But isn't it just counterproductive to ego and counterproductive to everything that we know as a human to say, what if I call favor onto this person? And you're like, favor, what? They don't deserve it. They've been this, they've been that, they've been the other thing. They don't deserve. That's the last thing they deserve. But you call favor on them, and all of a sudden, things get maybe so good for them that they forget about you.
I think many times they will subconsciously know where the source came from.
And didn't the master say that? He said, pray for those that hate you, give favor to those that despitefully use you, and by doing this, you'll pour burning coals on their head.
Yeah.
Wayne, I don't like this. I don't like it. I'm stomping my feet up and down. I don't want to be nice. The last thing I want to do is call favor on somebody that I think doesn't deserve it. What do you do if you're calling favor on a person that is destroying other people's lives? How do you get away with that karmically?
Well, I think it's a matter of point of view. Number one, can evil ever become good?
I don't think there's really evil or good. I think there's just energy. It's the intention with which it is projected that colors the energy, so to speak.
Okay, so now let's take this person of ire that's causing all the ire. The thing that I have to
Jane.
Okay, we'll just use J. And here's the thing that I am seeing is that J is representing something within you that is causing this reaction to be. What I am saying, what if we switched it around and use that principle of favor?
But there are really things being done in this situation that are extremely hurtful.
Yeah, but to come at it with the same energy that you're going to come to oppose it, come to absorb it.
Use a little spiritual Aikido.
Yes.
Do you run the risk of calling favor on to someone that doesn't deserve it? And is there a karmic ramification of that?
Can I simply say this? I hope people wish me, invoke upon me all the favor, because I am a son of a bitch at times. I am a person who...
I'm a perfect angel.
No, I don't deserve. Sometimes ask my wife. She'll tell you. She says, you big jerk. And, but this is true. So what's the difference between Jay and you? Is the fact that Jay is doing something that's diametrically opposed to your perception of what is good, of what is right, what is righteous. Okay. Well, then the only way that that's going to ever change is that you're going to have to either absorb Jay or Jay is going to absorb you.
And when you get all upset by Jay,
guess what? Jay has absorbed you.
You're giving Jay your energy.
Yeah. Renting penthouse free.
You're living in your best real estate.
Yeah. And giving it away for free, man.
So Wayne, I gotta review this. So what you're telling me is, if you got somebody out there that hates you, I mean, viscerally hates you, just hates you, and wants to do everything they can to wreck your life, you're telling me do a magical ceremony and call favor down on that person.
Yep.
Wow. This is why, folks, I asked Wayne Steiger to do a show with me, because we're not that much older, but this man is my elder. This man is wiser than me. He's been to a lot more places he's been to places I haven't been. He's done things I haven't done, and he knows things that I don't know. And even though I think I'm pretty sharp and I've got a decent background, I'm smart enough to know that when I'm with Wayne Steiger, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. And that's why I'm in the room with Wayne Steiger. Wayne, dude, I hate it. I almost said a bad word that started with an F. I hate it. I hate it. But I think you're right.
Well, I'll tell you what, try it. And if it doesn't work, I'll buy you a steak dinner.
You're going to buy me a steak dinner anyway.
Yeah, anyway. And if it does work, I'll buy you a steak dinner anyway.
Topper Harley said, what would Bruce Lee do? And Bruce Lee said, be like water.
Yeah.
So if Bruce Lee came up against an immovable object, Bruce Lee, even though he was the fastest human, some say too fast to be a human, and could kick 7'4" tall Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the face, and Bruce Lee was 5'6"-ish, 5'7"-ish, beat up Chuck Norris, and that's almost impossible. And wait, it's no coincidence that Germany surrendered in World War II on the day that Chuck Norris was born. They knew it was but Bruce Lee wouldn't attack that immovable object. He would be like water. He would go around it.
Yeah.
And he would go over it. And you could argue that the water is offering blessing to it. So you draw a circle, you put up, I can't even stand to look at a picture of this person, Wayne. Put a picture of this person in the middle and call blessing onto both of us?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What's going to happen? Tell me what's going to happen in your experience. What happens when you start?
What I have found,
a week, a month, a year?
Yeah, it's almost like it's. You can call it miraculous. You can call it. I call it just the absorption of energies, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed in a constant state of change. And what I have found, I knew a person who wanted me dead. They hated me. That's
I may be in that situation, Wayne.
Yeah.
I may be.
Just could not see it. And the thing was, their perception was wrong to begin with, but wasn't nothing that I could do to ever prove it.
And I did that. It's probably possible. I can't even believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but it might be possible that my perceptions aren't entirely accurate about this other person. It's possible. I hate to even say that.
It's difficult. But what I figured out, and I mean, I tried everything. Everything I did was rebuffed. And it just made it worse. I mean, seriously, it was like picking at a sore.
Instead of letting even tried those things, have you just done this first?
Oh, yeah. But you know what? No knowledge does not come without a cost. It costs something. It cost me my pride, my ego, because what I was trying to do was fix the situation through my perception.
That's what's screaming out in me, Wayne. My pride, my ego. There's no way.
Yeah.
I'm not. She doesn't deserve it. I won't do it.
So I had a friend whose mother told me, she says, "You're an ass." She said, "You're an ass." Okay, like I've never heard that before. But she told me.
How often do you do this, Wayne? This ceremony?
I don't have that many enemies now.
But I mean, if you're going to do this ceremony, do you do it just once?
Just do it once. Just do it once. Yeah. I mean, it's like this: either you pick the lock or you didn't. I know that's a strange analogy, but
How long do you wait for results after you've done it?
I tell you what, just let the universe take care of it, because you've given the opening for it. And this woman told me, she said,
what if you put a sigil in the middle of your circle?
I don't know. That might, we all have our own magic.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what this woman told me. She said, "You are a great magician." She says, "You just don't realize what you have in the bank."
Yeah, we're all great magicians.
We are. That's the point. That's the point.
Because we have powerful intentions, and we're especially great magicians. It's counterintuitive. We got trapped in these bodies, but while in these bodies, we're even greater magicians than when we're out of these bodies.
Yep.
Because it gives us a power. So when I light 4 white candles, I draw a circle, and I invoke favor on my enemy. Are you telling me, like Jesus, the Lord, the Christ said, pray for those that despitefully use you, call favor upon those that hate you?
That consciousness knew what it was talking about.
What does it mean, do you think, when he says, and by so doing, you'll call down burning coals upon their head?
I think what I have seen is that, and all I can tell you is what I have seen. I've had a person call me up and said, "Man, I don't like what's happened here." And this is a true story. He says, "I can't get you out of my mind." And he says, "I got things I need to do." He said, "Let's get this settled. What is it going to take?" And many times it was nothing more than a misunderstanding, a simple apology. But if I'd made that apology prior to that, it would have been rebuffed because I did apologize.
Interesting.
And so I think that that's what it means. It burns within the soul consciousness
Of the person that you're calling a favor upon.
Yeah.
It's not retributory. It's
No. It's sincere.
But I want retribution.
Yeah. What I'd want is healing. You see,
I'm not there. I'm not there, Wayne. I am not there. And so I realize it's as much my problem as it is this lady's problem.
You know, sometimes if you close your eyes and you look and you take away the personification and you just look at the individual, I see sometimes that there could be a problem in the intestinal tract, something like that, that I begin to realize that this is a real person.
Are you looking into this person?
I just saw it just for a second.
You don't even know what you just hit on, my friend.
And so there's something there. And I don't like doing this to the public because, you know, Jeff, then I've had too many people write to me and say, I know you can do these things. It's not a question whether I know I can do them. It's a question, it's not always to the benefit, but there's something wrong there.
The energetic cost of doing those things. It's very, very hard.
Yeah. And it takes a lot out of me, but there's something there. There's something there. And anyway,
I think you've given not only me transformational information, but people in this chat room, every one of us has a bully in our life. And, you know, I'm not saying everybody that we have in our mind what we perceive as a bully in our life, a boogeyman. And we spend most of our time resisting it. We give these bullies way too much time in our mind. And kind of what you're saying is do a working and get in their mind and have them not want you there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really all you want at the end of the day is peace and harmony.
That's all you want for them, for you.
Even if this opposition force doesn't want the peace and harmony, you still think it works.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Wow.
It does. Yeah. You know, I saw one person say this, and it's so true, you know, that once I figured and got out of the God spell and began to see who source was, I mean, that was a strange terminology for me. You know, I am source. How dare I blaspheme even the thought of that, you know, you can't say that. But when you begin to find out that that's really what it is, Jeff Doherty, you have the creative force to do something that would be considered 20 years ago in your circle miraculous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think we've lost our miracle workers.
And you know, I think the hard part for me personally is, you know, in situations like this, you know, you've got that warrior spirit and you just want to punch somebody in the mouth. You just want to beat a bully up. You just want them to pay to get what they deserve. But who the hell am I to decide who deserves what? That's putting myself in the seat of God. Who am I? The guy that was probably closest to God, assuming that he existed, and even if he didn't, the message is there, said, listen, if they hate you, if they despitefully use you, pray for them. Call favor on them.
They say the greatest power a king possesses is mercy.
Wayne, I do not like what you've told me here today.
Well, it's free.
In fact, I hate it.
Well, then that says something right there.
I hate it.
Yeah, but you're a king.
I want to disagree with you, but something deep inside me knows you're right. And let's just say, we got to get close to wrapping it up. Let's just say that you have somebody that you hate. You do this working for them and nothing happens. Hasn't something already happened? Wayne?
Oh, Jeff, that's exactly right, my dear friend. Something has already happened. Let's say that your spirit moves on. You will probably have the advantage being birthed into the life realm, looking back, and I think you're going to go, wow, I did that?
And not only that, Wayne, just on a more mundane level, if you have a hate for someone and disgust for someone and you just want to pound their face feeling, Is it more beneficial for you to be in that frequency, or to be in a frequency of, I call favor on this person? I call favor on this person. Is it better to be in the fight or flight mode, or is it better to be in the divine frequency of favor?
You see, I see a situation changing in this person's life where I see children rejoicing because of what you would invoke.
I'm sorry. About the last 3 or 4 months, I've been so emotional. My heart chakra just blown open. You know what, Wayne? 20 years ago, I escaped the fear and guilt control matrix of Christianity, and say that I'm into free, new thought and free form spirituality. And yet, faced with one of the greatest challenges of my life, I want to act just like the Christian God and not like the true divine ones. The Christian God is the one that brings revenge and fire and judgment. And it's the true gods, the inexpressible ones, that bring mercy and grace and favor.
It's the Christians who send me the death threats. Mm-hmm. It's the Buddhists, the Muslims who send me love.
And even if it doesn't work, it's already worked. If it's moved you from fight and revenge and hatred into a frequency of favor. You're
reclaiming your sovereignty, Jeff.
I've allowed this situation to take my divinity, my sovereignty, my freedom.
Yes. Yeah.
I've allowed myself to be triggered.
It blinded you to your divinity.
It did.
Yeah. You're divine, Jeff. You can show such great favor in a manner that the person may never know, but you do.
And if the person comes into great favor and it results in great favor for the children involved and results in great favor, even if it just results in great favor for the children involved, it's all worth it because our children are our future.
See, I feed upon that. I can feel it. There's nothing greater than the joy of a child. And it's authentic. It's genuine. And we lose that as we get older. We become a little crusty. But boy, if you have the power to invoke that, now that's power.
Wow. Well, how much do I owe you for the counseling session?
It's with love. It's like, far out, man. Peace.
This is one of the most transformational programs we've ever done.
It's been deep.
It really has been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wayne, wrap this up.
Well, I think we all take a lesson from this. I'll re-listen to this myself. And again, it's teaching me something that I needed to hear. And that is, when we allow someone to preoccupy our energies, we've lost our sovereignty, and we've closed the door to our divinity. Because what we're saying, we're not powerful enough to change that situation. And I say, no matter what the situation is, we can.
Yeah. And we are not always right. We get, and then, you know what? I hate to say this, but sometimes the more self-righteous we feel about a situation might mean that we're even less right.
No, I think, that's powerful, brother. I'd write that one down. Yeah. Yeah. So,
because and maybe we're accurate about how someone was.
Mm-hmm.
From all the outward signs that we've seen, but we're not accurate with either A, where they are now, or B, where they're going to be. And it's like the old saying, if you don't walk a mile in a man's moccasins, you don't really know.
Yeah.
You don't really know. And we're not the judge.
No, and I think that's the thing that, isn't it that the diciest walk we ever do is that, I hear that old thing, judge not and ye shall not be judged. And I'm going, I can't figure out how that works.
You know what it really means, Wayne? If you get into the Greek, this is powerful. You just stumbled on what he's saying in the original Greek is he's not saying don't judge, because you make judgments every day.
Yeah.
That stove is hot. Am I going to touch it? I'm judging no. That light is red. Am I going to stop? I'm judging yes. This person has done this to me in the past. Am I going to give myself back to that place to them? No, I'm making a judgment. But what he's saying is the standard of judgment that you apply to other people will be applied to you.
Woo!
That's what the Greek says. So here I am. If I want to apply judgment, revenge, vengeance, wrath on this person, I can do that. And it might even happen. I could use black candles, call out workings. It might happen. But that same standard, judgment, wrath, vengeance, is going to be used on me. It's a spiritual truism. Wow. But if I call down favor and grace, then that's the judgment standard that I'm also going to receive. And Wayne, isn't that what we're saying? We're putting into practice a spiritual, energetic wave that cannot be resisted. So even if that person hates me as much as I hate her, she won't even be able to stop returning the favor because it's energetic.
See, that's what I see. It does two things. It, number one, rebuffs this negative opposition, but I think two, it not only opens the door for her, but I just saw this. It opens the door for you in other ways. Your business aspirations, your other aspirations that you have personally, etc. Suddenly now favor has been called down, and favor is like rain. It permeates everything.
And you know what just came into my mind? Most people think they think the opposite about this verse, but the universe, the illimitable ones, the inexpressible ones, it says they send rain on the just and the unjust. So we think, they make it rain on us. That's terrible. No. You're talking about an agrarian culture. The rain is the most precious thing in that culture. And the inexpressible ones, they make it rain on people that we think are just, and they make it rain on people that we don't think are just. And we just don't get to make those decisions at our level.
But we're learning.
I
think if we carry this over into the next realm, that the panel and I do believe we do go up before a review panel, will say, you figured one of the most important tenements out.
Is there any more important tenet than this, Wayne?
I don't think there really is, because it is the foundation and the roots of everything.
And doesn't it say, as above, so below?
Yeah.
And the corollary of that is true as well. As below, so above. As you act in your mundane life, that's how you're going to act in your spiritual life. So do you want to be filled with wrath and judgment and rancor, or do you want to be filled with favor and grace?
And I just want to expound, because I know we've gone over, but I just want to expound on that. As it is above, so it is below. So many people think it's the positive to the negative. What that is saying is that it's the same as above as it is below.
Yeah.
That's
why you said when you speak it, it's already done. Once I say, I call favor down upon this woman, there's already favor on her. Yeah. She's already going to get me in her head and return favor to me, and it's going to work out. It's already done in the above. If I can keep from being stupid in the below long enough to let it work, if I can get out of my own way.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key. But I know you'll do it. I know you will. I think that a lot of other people here can begin to use this one principle and change their whole lives around.
This will change your entire life. Yeah. If all it does is get you out of a hate, wrath, revenge frequency and into a favor frequency. And do we all believe in the law of attraction? If I walk around thinking favor, 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 what am I going to get back? Favor, favor, favor.
Favor.
And for the last few months and years that I've been thinking wrath, fight, hit him in the nose. Strangely enough, Wayne, there's been more attacks from this source.
You're shadow boxing, man. You're going like, well, where the freak did this come from? And someone just left the back door open. Okay.
Yep. Isn't that amazing?
Oh.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Well, the definition of insanity, Wayne, is what?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Maybe it's time that I try to take a different action.
And
I just might get a different result.
I don't know. I hear a hallelujah chorus singing somewhere.
The angels in heaven are rejoicing.
It says, hallelujah.
Yep.
You see, a lot of people think that we may not, I know particularly that, they say, well, you don't believe in God. I said, listen, I reject these world gods. Yeah. If you want to label me, I am anti-theist.
Yep.
Nothing else.
I don't like you very much right now, Wayne, but I thank you.
That's okay. A big hug to you, buddy. See, I'll just give you this. Just a big hug. That's how much we love you. And then this is the other thing. Always.
Hey, what happened to your NASA magnet? I don't see it back there anymore.
It's right over here. I just haven't turned it. Yeah.
Relax. Calm down now. Don't stress. Take it easy.
Okay.
So, that's what I need to do.
Just relax.
Well, today, Wayne, I move into a different frequency in my life.
I'm happy for you. Things are changing in your life, my friend.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, I should have known, Wayne, because when I was 18, I knew everything. I had it all figured out. And then I realized I didn't. And then about 38, 39, again, I got this now. I've got it all figured out. I know everything. And about 6 months ago, I figured, you know what? This time, I really got it figured out. And I know this is going to surprise a lot of people, but I didn't.
Shock. Oh.
And the sad thing about it, Wayne, is that it really does surprise me.
Yeah, but you know what I see in that? That's a cool life. That's a life of discovery. You're making the most of this journey, Jeff. And, I don't believe in reincarnation because I just don't think you get a second bite at this apple. Yeah. This experience is so unique. I can't live all the experiences. That's impossible. But I know this, all the experiences I can live are in me.
Yeah.
And
well, I don't know about you, Wayne, and I don't know about the chat room, but my life has been changed. I'll even say transformed today by being a part of this Not Your Normal Sunday show.
Well, I know mine's for the better. We almost have our 1-year anniversary, Jeff.
Do we?
We're coming up in August.
Well, we'll have to do something special for that.
Yeah, we will. So then almost a year. I appreciate it, my friend. Namaste to you. You have been a delightful addition to my life.
We haven't always agreed with each other, have we?
No, but that's what makes the journey fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't believe in the concept of heaven. What are you going to do? What the divine made us to be? It. I don't know if it's he, she, it, whatever. It may be above even a sex. Who knows?
Or it might be she, it.
It may be. It may. I got that, by the way. I think it's within us because it is within it. We're never going to be satisfied. Never.
I was getting satisfied. That's the problem. I needed to be shook up.
And when we do, satisfaction always leads to stagnation.
It does. Rachel Stone says that she loves Sundays because of Jeff and Wayne.
Well, thank you, Rachel. That's very kind of you. I enjoy them. I told my wife, she says, well, I have a great show. I said, the thing about it is it's fun.
It is.
I learn things. And, I got to tell you, the journey is just so cool.
It is. It is. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Sit right there for 1 second, if you would.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, all I can do is say thank you for witnessing my counseling session with Dr. Steiger. And I think that we've all picked up on Father's Day some techniques and tools that we can use that will help us, if we think of a biblical term, get closer to the Father. Of course, as we expand, to get closer to the Father, Mother, get closer to the inexpressible ones, get closer to whatever we think is our expression of deity. And the way we really do that is by recognizing the deity within ourselves and developing that. And good gods don't hate. No. Good gods don't seek revenge, and good gods don't throw out vengeance. If we're divine, we're sovereign, and we're free, then we need to be divine, sovereign, free, pure, holy, and righteous. So let's apply what Dr. Steiger has given to us in your life, and let's try it. And he said it here. If it doesn't work for you, he'll buy every one of you a steak.
We'll keep that down to $1.99 each of the steaks.
Until next week, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Wow. This is R. Wayne Steiger. Go subscribe to his channel, and we'll see you all again next time.